Hi everyone. This is the final submission for the project Human Factors. So starting off with the task analysis, stating the problem as the customer care agents, retention agents, and collection agents working in care centers and call centers. Currently, they don't have enough info about customers calling in and why they're disconnecting and who should be retained and how to prevent customer churning. So with that problem statement, the task analysis, starting off with doing with the user's objective. The user's objective being getting a lot of insights into the customer who is calling in and being able to retain that customer and not lose that customer. Also getting the insight along the process of whether the customer is valued customer or a low value customer or a high value customer, and what is the risk score of the customer leaving, and also needing to decide in advance based on the risk score whether they can offer additional incentives for the customer even if they missed a few payments. So the detailed task analysis flow looks like the trigger is essentially starts off with customer calling to disconnect or having some issues paying their bills. So it leads into an action by the agent loading up the customer account, followed by obtaining a 24-month payment history using a payment database, obtaining 90 days of balance history using a balance DB, obtaining last 90 days of outstanding balance using a statement database, and also getting a customer credit score and the customer long-term value using the credit database and the customer long-term value database. And as a part of the final step in that action is assign a risk score to the customer, and with the objective to retain that customer if the risk score is fairly low and the customer long-term value is high. So moving on, the insights from the task analysis is understand the current user flow where certain data is not available right now for decision making. So improve on removing the pain points, make improvements, make simplification needed in the user flow, improve the UX with task analysis as described earlier by simplifying some of the steps, provide insightful information readily available for the agents, and then with all of that being able to reduce the average handling time for improved productivity along with retaining the customers, which is the important objective. So the UX design with the user interaction starts off with agent inputs either a customer last name, first name, phone number, or account number. They could use any of these features or inputs. The user inputs into the model are going to be historical 24 months of the customer payment data, many missed payments in the last 3 months, average monthly balance, average monthly outstanding balance. And then the feedback loop mechanism is going to be both a combination of explicit and implicit. Explicit based on direct agent feedback through the selection of risk category, and they can also risk override the provided risks category in certain edge cases. Implicit feedback loop from agents' actions resulting on a model providing low, medium, high. So there is user being the agent here based on their actions. We would also get implicit feedback. So from a model transparency perspective, we provide transparency by citing the source of the data, all the databases that are involved, the importance of attributes such as the payment history, the balance, outstanding balance, the current balance, all of those items, basis for the model output in terms of algorithm considering the weightage of various features, and from a transparency perspective, explain why certain of these inputs are being selected. Communicating uncertainty, essentially this is in the two broader categories of deterministic and probabilistic. We would provide probabilities through the model of each class of low, medium, high risk to the agents and provide an explanation for the predicted class. For example, low risk means the customer is a tenured customer, very low risk of payment risk associated with it. So they would essentially can provide incentives for getting retaining that customer, provide explanation for the particular class, provide confidence interval on the probabilities. Privacy considerations. This data has some directly identifiable PII info, such as name, address, phone number. It also has some data has sensitive info, such as social security numbers and other financial. So privacy and security considerations will be used in the model. And the privacy laws that would directly be applicable are the California Consumer Privacy Act, and along with other state laws that would be applicable as well, depending on where the customer resides and where the data is being requested. The obligations, so there is all of these things that are the model will be obligated to when we develop it: transparency, data minimization, accuracy, accountability, purpose limitation, storage limitation, data security. All of these things will apply to this model from making sure it is ethical. And the rights of individuals of the actual customers will be applicable as well, which is informed access, rectify, forguard, and restrict. These are all the rights to be able to the individuals will be honored. So finally, the ethical considerations that are at play here are the source of bias. So there is going to be an effort to reduce the bias risks. There's a data collection bias risk that could be there due to the historical 24 months data. Feature definition. There is no proxy for anything in here, but the measurement biases would be minimized as those features are defined. Representation bias is minimized as is the entire data. We are not excluding or including only particular things. Deployment and feedback loop tool will be used as expected. There's no additional avenues that the agents can use it. There will be some feedback loop bias exists. The agents are expected to provide some feedback that would basically get incorporated back into the refining the model. So in the terms of the ethical consideration of fairness, accountability, and transparency, fairness would set goals for groups of significance, fair definition upfront, and do regular fairness audits. From an accountability perspective, we would get all the team educated on the privacy laws, bring them up to speed. Training team reflects diversity, opinions, background. Analysis modeling will be done with fair variable selection, no discriminatory. Implementation is also monitored for model drift to ensure model remains fair over time. And the transparency, we would collect the data, and that would not impede anybody's privacy. We would honor all the privacy laws and the rights of individuals. User consent will be obtained, and user privacy loss protected, and source of biases will be minimized in this model. So that, in a nutshell, all of that considerations from an ethical perspective, and that concludes the submission for this project. Thank you.